All right. We are ready to rock and roll. Welcome to the show. Today is chapter four, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, of Hybrid Connections. Today I am originally had a guest on today, but my guest unfortunately was not feeling well. So we're going to do a solo episode today, and one I was kind of really excited for because I wasn't able to really not wasn't able to. I wanted to really answer these questions and just kind of get a peek into my own brain from a video perspective. I don't know. But essentially, what I was doing is it was a communications drill, and the individual that I look up to was talking about how to fix your communications or um, your talking, your rate of speech, your dynamic ability, but also just kind of get an idea of how you come across when it comes to other people. And to do that, he said, go to um, whatever AI you use and enter the prompt of, if I wanted to deeply understand myself as a human being, what 20 questions would you ask me? And so I have these 20 questions that I'm going to run through today as today's episode. So hopefully, as a viewer, it gets you a better understanding of me and also gets you a better understanding of what's inside my head, what am I looking to do, and who I am as a person. So I don't think an introduction is really needed considering you're about to jump inside my head already. So let's get started. The first question is, actually, I'll start from the bottom up so we get just warmed up. What truth do you already know about yourself that you're not ready to act on? uh the second part is hard. I think the one truth that I do know about myself is one that I've consistently work on. I do believe that I'm a person who's very self-aware and I understand where my weaknesses are. Now, if I choose to act on how to fix them is a different question, but I do understand what my strengths and weaknesses are. And it just became recently that not decided, but made a making a conscious effort to actually put time into correcting it or at least improving it. And that's being inconsistent. I think I love big ideas. I love going after something large. However, I don't like the view or acknowledgement of when I'm struggling. I like to be good at things like everyone else does, obviously. And so my ability to perform in front of people when things are hard are a little uncomfortable for me. And so I'm getting very comfortable with that just by going after it and not really caring what other people think in the process, which will help me get better at being consistent because now I'm less worried about other people's thought process or judgment or mindset about what I'm doing with my life, which saying out loud, again, it sounds ridiculous, but I feel like it's a human reaction or a human just emotion. It's just to worry what other people think of them because, we're used to being in tribes. You're used to being one of the pack. And if you're kicked out of that tribe back in the day, most likely you were dead. So it's an internal struggle. It's subconsciously a thing that we all have, and it's one that I'm getting better understanding and better at controlling because I I care about my goals and my accomplishments way more than I care about other people's judgments about them. And at the end of the day, people who look at this and have judgment, 9 times out of 10 aren't really doing anything for themselves. So it's not someone I want to be around me anyway, and that's okay. If they're not looking to be on my side, they're not looking to be on my team, and I don't want anybody who's not going to try to be on my team. Simple as that. But in terms of you know, one second, I'm trying to get the view up so it's better for me. Um, in terms of not ready to act on it, maybe in the past I wasn't ready to act on it, but now, yeah, I feel great. I feel ready to rock and roll, and that's what I've been doing these past couple weeks. And hopefully, you get to see that over the next couple months, years, and decades that I do this. But yeah, on to the next question. If your life ended today, what would feel unfinished? Not in terms of task, in terms of who you became. So I think about this daily. Like, probably something way more than I think about anything else. Like, my worst fear is growing old and dying and not being able to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish, not in terms of monetary value or, you know, financial success, but in terms of, well, they're part of it, but in terms of what I could be like personality wise, the person I would want to be 30, 40, 50 years from now. It's the person I look up to. It's the person that I would love as a mentor. It's an individual who I respect. And if I couldn't become that person, that means there's something that I did wrong along the way. That means I was so focused on other things, or distracted is a better word. I was so distracted on other things in my life that I couldn't accomplish what I wanted to do. And that hurts in a couple different reasons. One, because it makes me a hypocrite, because I talk and I preach about going after what you want and just being focused. And for me not to be able to lead by example and show other people how to do that, it would make me upset. But also B, I it's my purpose. Like, I feel drawn to that individual. I feel drawn to become that person. And me being who I am, enjoying, not even just enjoying, I love self-development and understanding yourself way more than you understand other people. It would make me upset to know that I didn't master my own self before dying. Like, I couldn't accomplish that. You know, being in martial arts so long, you try to accomplish the goal of becoming a master. And to not even control myself would just show lack of discipline, lack of um, awareness, lack of focus. And that to me is probably the biggest kind of gut punch if I had to die at the end of my life and not accomplish this. So yeah, that would feel unfinished, or that would be kind of like the biggest checkpoint for me. But what would feel unfinished, like currently, um, yeah, building the business that I want, building the acquisition business that I truly want to be into, because that's one thing I really want right now, is to be in acquisition, to be in a position where I'm helping other people either develop, adjust, or improve their business in a way that allows them to grow and scale and accomplish their dreams that they want to do. And so I enjoy doing that. And then I also would feel like I didn't get to help enough people in the process. I think the only good thing about winning and succeeding is to have people along with you, or at least help people along the way. Because yes, winning and accomplishing feels good for a moment for yourself, but helping other people and doing it with other people, you need a community. Like, it feels good to be able to work with someone next to you to accomplish the same things, to go after a single individual task. That's why we have team sports. That's why we have very little individual sports. It's the community that makes it worth it. And so that's why, I mean, that's the reason why I'm doing this. It's literally to build a community. I don't know if you guys understand. If you're an entrepreneur, you understand. If you're not an entrepreneur, you might understand. But it's extremely lonely. Extremely lonely. Like, to the fact that you don't even know who to talk to at this point. Um, and it comes from the idea of you're doing stuff that other people aren't doing, and no one really understands unless they're doing it with you. It's like trying to understand how to be a parent in your child. I'm not sure if that's the right analogy, but the idea is you don't really understand until you actually get to do it yourself. It's hard. So it's lonely, and you don't really know who to talk to, who to express your thoughts or feelings to, other than someone who's going through it, have gone through it, or, essentially is in it with you. But yeah. Yeah. Next question. What do people what do the closest people to you see that you struggle? One second. I gotta re-say this again. What do the people closest to you see in you? I swear I'm not stupid. All right. What do the people closest to you see in you that you struggle to see in yourself? I'm not really sure if I know how to answer that, because there are a couple different reasons. One, I'm slowly changing my circle of influence. And so my circle of friends and people that I actually communicate with about my actual kind of like deepest personality traits are very, very, very small right now. So, um, and the people I do ask about this never really have an answer to it. And so it's very hard to answer that question. I'm not really sure how to answer that question overall. But if I had to take a guess, it would be that I'm further ahead than I think. I'm better of a person than I think. I am probably my harshest critic, as we all are, I assume. But yeah, I've never been one to, yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the end of the story. I don't really know what to say about that. Um, moving on. 17. What story do you keep telling your past that might keep you stuck? I mean, this one's easy. Yeah, this one's super easy. That the bad habits that I have will eventually fade away and I don't have to work on them. And then, everything will still happen the way I wanted to. I'm wrong. I was wrong 5 years ago. I was wrong 10 years ago. I'm wrong yesterday. It's wrong. Yeah. Once I stopped doing, like obviously every individual has a list of bad decisions or bad habits that they have. But if you keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome, that's literally the definition of insanity. And so for me, you know, being able to kind of really sit back and reflect and think about, okay, shit, I've been doing the same thing for I don't know how many years and I've getting the same result. I want something different. I can't necessarily do the same things and expect something different. And so for me, it's yeah, I mean, just telling myself that, hey, you can still do these things and get the best outcome out of it. It's wrong, dead wrong, despicably wrong. And I think it took too long for me to understand that. But obviously, every person's story is different. Unfortunately, this is how long it took me to realize it. But every story is different, and I'm okay with my story as of right now. Decisions that I've made, they're mine and mine alone, and they're gonna have to be decisions I have to deal with in the future. But I'm okay with that. I'm willing to die on that hill, and the decisions that I have made in the past is not completely out of control. That I'm like, shit, I fucked up my life, but you know, it's definitely not good decisions that could have pushed me towards my goals a lot faster. So this is where we are right now, and this is where we're going to take off from. So yeah. All right. Next question. When you're at your worst, what pattern shows up? What triggers it? Ooh, yeah. Huh. What patterns show up? Junk food, social media, and um, late nights. And so what I mean by this is that if I'm in like a funk, I typically my body craves comfort and it immediately goes to those things. And so because I eat healthy and work out and stuff like that, some type of junk food, whether it be a burger from like Five Guys or something like that. Um, I try to avoid keep stuff in the house that's junk food related or at least snack related. But if there is something in here, then like ice cream would be definitely one. Uh, yeah, just junk food altogether. And I feel like crap either immediately at the moment or the next following day in the next couple days. Um, Alcohol is not really a big one for me. It's the decision I make after alcohol that's typically a bad one for me. So maybe it's a more up the food chain, a little down the stream, but that can be one. And then what I say, oh, social media. So again, it's social media, and again, comfort, being able to scroll for a little while, just looking for something to acknowledge my thoughts and my emotions at the time. It takes me into a long pattern of scrolling and then also takes me into a long night because if I'm on social media, then I'm watching videos and I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to sleep, then I'm not waking up early. And then that cycle kind of continues for usually my cycle or my like kickback recoil moment. I can't even think of the word I'm looking for. But my ability to go from like my baseline to a worse occasion back up to my baseline, that period originally was like 2 weeks. And I just figured this out like a couple days ago. That period was usually like 2 weeks. And so now I'm trying to reduce it. And so that even if a worse or if a bad situation happens and I drop below baseline, I can quickly get back up to baseline and start making productive activities quicker. And so I'm currently, I probably just went through one of these to be honest with you. I think I'm roughly around like 3 days is what I'm looking at right now, is getting down, getting back up to baseline. And yeah, it's going well so far. So hopefully, this is my new PR for getting back to baseline. And then hopefully it can just be in a matter of a couple of hours or a couple of, minutes. Ideally. Ideally. No one's perfect. But yeah, those are my patterns that show up when it happens. What triggers it? What triggers it is bad outcomes. I think I've been living by the praise way too much, which means I die by the booze. And yeah, I've taken too much consideration into the wins, which means that the downs are a lot harder. And at that point, it just kind of puts me into a why am I doing this? Or if this even makes sense, like if this route makes sense. And if it doesn't make sense, I need a moment to step away. And I say step away, but it's more like I need a moment to be comfortable in order to go back into being uncomfortable again. But I want to be in the habit of just consistently being uncomfortable and just being okay with that. Like I'm okay being uncomfortable in general. Like it's just life I live. It's fine. But for me, it's the long duration of uncomfortable periods. That's the one that gets very challenging, which is very contradictory to entrepreneurship because it is a long period of being uncomfortable without knowing if you're going in the correct direction, without knowing if you're doing the right things, without any signs of positive um, positive feedback or reinforcement. And you just got to be able to continue to keep going, whether you're going the correct way or not. So, unfortunately, like to live, but I already signed my life away to this. So, I'm okay with that, obviously. But yeah, that's typically what triggers it. Nothing else really. People, arguments, irrelevant to me. Literally irrelevant to me. Anyways, next question. What are you most proud of that you never talk about? Hmm. I'd say two things. Two things specifically. The first would be hopefully this pays off in the end, but me being the oldest of four and having to grow up super fast, my ability to adapt to that lifestyle and be able to help nurture and develop my siblings to become better individuals in the world. I think that's one of the biggest things I feel the most accomplishment about is being able to help them at least semi navigate the world in a way that they're not a nuisance to people. They're not a hindrance to other individuals. In fact, they actually uplift and help other individuals. Hopefully that's still the case. They're obviously they're adults now, but who knows what their life can look like in the next couple of years. But hopefully I've made a big enough impact on them to be a positive influence on other individuals and people around them. So that would be the first thing. The second thing, sorry, the headphone is like annoying. I've got these new Beats like buds, and they're so tiny, but I already have small ears, so it's incredibly doesn't help. Anyways, the second thing would be my continuous loyalty, I would say. Now, this is not in the sense of blind loyalty, as in if there's no proof of loyalty in two ways. Loyalty is in the people that I stick around. So this would be the family and friends that I feel closest to me. I would be loyal as in I show up when I'm needed and when things get tough, like I'm there. Now I may not be the nicest, kindest person to your situation, but I'm going to be there regardless. And then the second would be loyalty to my goals. My goals have always been the same. They have not changed, wavered, or deferred. And my thought process of will I get there or will I accomplish it has never deferred or wavered either. So loyalty or determination, if that's what you want to call it, is one of the things I feel the strongest about. Whether it be people or myself and my goals, that's one of the things I feel the strongest about. And the path may look different. My ability to be there for you may look different, but the end result isn't still the same. I will be there and I will get to where I need to be. That's it. Next question. Where in your life do you seek control? Ha! And what are you trying to protect? Everywhere. I look for control everywhere. Yeah, there's no really way around it. I think I heard a saying of where everything that happened to us in our past, it tends to show up in the way as adults. And not to get therapeutic or anything like that, but for me, there were things that happened within my past that I had zero control over because I was a kid, obviously. And so growing up, that was one of the things I vowed to myself that would never happen again. I would not be powerless. I would not be without control. And that's something I tend to look for nowadays, not necessarily with other people, but definitely with myself. Again, going back to the other question about, my life ended today. I want to be able to master myself. I want to be able to have full, complete control of myself. But that also extends to the things around me, the environments that I'm in, the people that I interact with. If I can't control those, not controlling them, but control who has interaction with me and how I do things, then I'm giving control to those individuals. On the other side of that as well, the victim mentality. I know I've talked to many people about this, but if I don't control, let's say if I don't take accountability or control for everything in my life, then I'm letting someone else take the responsibility and the blame over what happens to me. If I'm late to a meeting and because I'm stuck in traffic, if I start blaming other people on the street, like, oh my God, crap, this traffic sucks, I can't get to work on time, da, da, da. Who's that helping? Literally, who's that helping? You can complain all you want to, but at the end of the day, you're the one who left the house late. In fact, you could have drove there. You could have started driving 30 minutes earlier, or you could have drove an hour earlier. If you were more successful, you could have flown a plane there. If you were more successful, you could have had a limo driver pick you up and you wouldn't have to worry about this. Different abilities and different avenues start to appear when you take control over everything in your life. And so for the people who don't have control over life, I try to keep them, at an arm's length because they're the victim mentality people. They're the blamers, they're the complainers, they're the negative people who I can't necessarily have around me because the things I'm looking to do, and it literally depends on me taking control over everything and everyone in my environment around my life. So I see control in majority of everything in my life. Um, Not to say that I'm not willing to give up control. You have to be able to do both. And I say give up control as in the idea of, you know, I don't have an ego the size of Texas, like, oh yeah, everything has to be done my way. Da 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 da. Sometimes you gotta let somebody else take the reins. You may not be the best for the situation, so you're gonna have to give a piece of control to a part of a project or activity. I would say. I'm not giving up complete control, but I'm giving up enough of it that it benefits the entirety or me way more than if it was just me. It's one thing I'm learning right now is to let other people in, to have more people around you, to build a larger network. And that comes with relinquishing the idea of I'm best at everything and I can do everything by myself. You just can't. So that's the control part. What are you trying to protect? My goals, my dreams. Yeah. Like I said, if I'm not able to control everything around me or my life, I can't control the outcome that comes with it. At least at the end of the day, I know my inputs would directly affect my outputs. If someone else has control, they affect my outputs, and I can't control someone else. It just won't happen. So, yeah, next question. That was a great question. I love that question. All right, we're on 13. what would you have to give up to become the person you say you want to be? Oh, we've answered them many times. So, um, yeah, just simple bad habits and inconsistency, and the the amount of care put into other people's opinions about my decisions. I think that would be the biggest thing I have to give up in order to hit what I want to do. Yeah, I think that'd be the biggest thing. So that was easy. All right. Who are you when no one is watching and there's nothing to prove? I'm This is a great question. So this is kind of like who I am outside of um people. Obviously I'm a quote unquote natural introvert. So I tend to stay to myself. I like smaller circles. I like more comfortable, intimate environments, but I can be extroverted. I can be social. I can be, high energy, interactive, case on. I can be that person. But who am I when I'm by myself or when I'm comfortable with people around? I'm pretty chill. I'm pretty relaxed because I am high energy probably 75% of the day. I have to recuperate at some point in time. And for me, sorry, um, yeah, I'm pretty chill 75% of the time, or high energy 75% of the time throughout the day, being social, interacting, networking, whatever it may be. I have to come back and recuperate. And so for me, that's, playing R&B or playing lo-fi or playing jazz music, piano, learning how to, I don't know, cook, being able to, I don't know. It's little things that allow my brain to just decompress, slow down, and just breathe. I go through high energy stakes from martial arts to socializing, things that matter. So when I come home, I think it's just the things that make me or allow me to breathe and to create. I think that's the biggest thing. I enjoy creating. I enjoy seeing outputs in a very beautiful way, whether it be, or sorry, a very artistic way, whether it be, like I said, playing piano or learning a different language or reading a great book. That's a newer one for me. Don't get that confused. Uh, but I enjoy slowing down a bit because I go so quick throughout the day that I have to then I'm exhausted and I can't keep the energy up the next day, at least not to the same extent. So yeah, that's typically who I am. And I'm also a lot more direct. I think people keep asking me that. It's like, were you outside of talking to people? I'm really trying to not being as direct and harsh when I talk to people. So when I'm by myself or when I'm talking to people who I'm comfortable with, like family, I immediately just go back to directness. Like, I understand your feelings when you hurt because you know who I am. So yeah, that's typically what it looks like. All right, next question. We're on. Would you be so bad with money or about yourself? Oh, 11 is, what does your relationship with money reveal about how you see yourself? One, I'm slowly changing. One, that's a very hard mindset to shift, especially if you're more towards the broke side. And I say broke as in if you don't have $1 million saved up. Like anything beyond below that is broke. Sorry to say. Um, and that's just my opinion. But what does my relationship with money look like about myself? I would say, honestly, a lot of my money goes into, well, now it's like three buckets, but one or two buckets. One, business stuff. So anything that's self development, anything that's software, anything that's in allowing me to do my business either more efficiently or even just in general, I'm usually spending on that. The second thing would be food and bad habits of either junk food or even I'm just a foodie person in general. I like good things. I like fantastic things. And so if there's good food, I want to go try those foods. So that's where majority of money goes with it. I would say, based on looking back at it, if I describe my relationship with money, it would be as if it was desperate, as in, again, this might be subconsciously, but not having the idea of there is an abundance amount out there. So use it while you have it. And I think that's just coming from the background that I do have, or the history that I've seen of people around me with money, which, again, another reason I'm changing my circle of influence, to change my mindset, to change my idea, thought process about money. However, obviously, me studying business, me studying people with money, me studying money in general, I understand, and let's say best at practicing it, but understand that there is a lot of money out there, that there is an abundance of opportunities to create money and create opportunities to go get money. Hence the reason for, or another reason for having business. But again, better in theory than better in practice. So that's one of the things I am slowly being able to change my mindset about, by changing the people around me. It's harder to do it by yourself, to just flip a switch and change your mindset. It's easier to do with other people around because they're used to it. And so it's easier to adapt to a lifestyle of other people when they've already started that life. They're used to that lifestyle. So you're just incorporating yourself or involving yourself within their natural day-to-day habits. It's like growing up with your parents. Like, you don't really understand what the world is. And so you have no immediate thoughts or process about it. However, they have their day-to-day lives, and you just adapt to it easily and adapt their thought process and mindset. It's the same way. So yeah, the last thing for me is newer. It's fashion, if you could say that. I'm slowly changing my wardrobe little by little, not too aggressively. Obviously, I'm not going to go on and blow a grand on clothes, maybe a suit, but not a grand on clothes. That's just not going to happen. But I am slowly changing my taste to something that's a little more timeless, a little more European, a little bit more classic, I would say. I do enjoy, there's some other things that I enjoy, obviously, but I do enjoy timeless things. I do enjoy older generation, activities. Yeah, some people call me an old head, but I don't know. I grew up with 90s people. I grew up people who are very chill, relaxed, and mellow, but also they want to get things done. So it's a balance of both. Like I said, it's literally my personality. Go, 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 go. And then when I'm by myself, decompress. Anyways, yeah. All right. So that's 11. We're going to jump back to the top, however, and just kind of go 1 through 10 to finish all off. So the first one is, what emotion do you suppress most often and why? Mm, that's a good question. Mm. Well, let me preface this by saying I know what emotion I love the most. And I just asked my this a little while ago. It's nostalgia. And one or two reasons. One, I heard this saying of, the only fun in being rich is being able to look back at the times when you were broke and poor, like understanding how far you've come to where you are now. I think that's something that I look forward to as well, and something I look back at now, and it makes me happy, for better words. Um, the second part of that is, yeah, I enjoy nostalgic moments. I enjoy looking back at fantastic moments to know, a, what I've accomplished so far, but also what can be done in the future. Like, what is possible? If I've done this and I feel great about this, imagine how fantastic I feel about going forward. Like, it's going to be amazing. And so I do enjoy nostalgia the most. Now, the emotion I suppress the most, I'm not sure if I suppress. If I had to choose one, it would be excitement. I think. Um, like, I don't get excited about things. I get amped up. I'm not sure if I get excited about things. One, because I don't know, people tend to have a negative. Maybe I do too much when I'm excited. I don't know. I feel like it puts people off when I'm excited. Uh, but then at the same time, it's like there's not a lot of things that excite me nowadays. Like if it's not, yeah, it's not a lot of things that excite me other than martial arts. Business makes me happy. Meeting business people, it's fun, but there's nothing, at least not right now. There's nothing right now. It's like, oh God, I feel freaking fantastic about this. Nothing at least that comes to the top of mind. So I would say probably excitement. Sadness, yeah, I get that all the time. Um, Not consistently, obviously, but it comes and goes. Anger, a lot. Uh, Actually, no, it would probably be sadness or depression or depressing or depressed. Um, yeah, because those are the emotions that benefit me the least. Yeah, so the emotion that's suppressed least or the most often is sadness or being depressed because they have no benefits, none, no benefits to me right now. What I'm looking to do. So yeah, I try to keep those at bay. Try to look at the positive side and everything. And so yeah, I would say sadness and being depressed for sure. Yeah, that was an easy one now. Okay, number two. What would you do with your life if no one ever knew about it? Martial arts. Yeah, I enjoy. So for the record, I don't enjoy martial arts necessarily for the hitting other people and getting hit. I originally got into martial arts for the art of it. I got in it for the creativity and expressive ability within it. You know, I've done everything from karate to um, dabbling kung fu to jujitsu to judo to Filipino knife defense to taekwondo to tricking, if you can even call that a martial arts. But either way, it's your ability to express yourself with your body, and especially for someone who wasn't very good at vocalizing his emotions and thoughts and being able to communicate with individuals, physical movement was the only way I was able to express myself when I was younger. It was the only way I knew how to get my thoughts across and get my emotions across by physically moving my limbs and my body in a way that allowed me to be dynamic or controlled or calm or whatever it may be that I was feeling at the time. It's something that I didn't have to think too hard about. And it's not something that I had to rely on other people to understand. You know, with communicating, we're talking to people, there's a certain level of of understanding within the conversation so that there isn't a miscommunication and a misunderstanding of emotions. When it comes to art, everything is perspective. You know, you go to a museum, you see the picture, you see a sculpture, you're like, geez, what was that artist thinking? Like, what was their thought process behind it? And you get to make your own interpretation of what you think their mindset was behind creating that piece of art. And the same thing I thought about when it came to martial arts is, you know, people can see me move, it can look great, it can look fantastic, it can look cool, look amazing. But at the end of the day, it's just the way I want it to move. It's the way I want it to flow and be explosive and be quick and be slow all at the same time. And I let other people have their own thoughts about what I'm trying to relay or express. And it had no effect on how I handled myself or expressed myself. And so it's very independent. And I think that's one of the biggest things I enjoyed about it. So if I can do anything with my life that no one would know about, it would be that. But a lot of people know about it. So what can you say? Yeah, I'm typically an open book about that or about things I want to do to people who are interested and want to know about it. So it's not really the biggest issue for me. All right, next question. Number three, where in your life are you performing a version of yourself rather than being yourself? At this very moment, it would be at my martial arts school. So being an instructor for I don't know how many years at this point, stepping away, coming back. It goes, I say it's probably similar to being in corporate versus being at home. You have to be on all the time. And I think someone just said this to me a little while ago, but you have to be on all the time. And I think that's one of the biggest issues for me, especially if I'm teaching little ones and adults. I can't be, let me preface this by saying, obviously, being an adult means fighting what you say and kind of being professional at some points of time. However, being outside of that environment, it's a little different because you're not around kids. And so you can be a little bit more explicit in how you express yourself or talk or do things because the world is it's a very non-forgiving place that has a lot of ups and downs. There's no black and white. Sometimes there's gray, and there's a lot of colors in between. And so being outside of that environment, it allows everyone to be a little bit more of who they want to be when they're not reliant on making an impression on direct impression of people around them, as if you're at your job or if you're, well, in this case it is a job, um, or just little people around you. And it's not to say that I'm a very terrible person outside of it, but there's things I want to do and there's things I want to say that I can't necessarily do it there. But also the person I want to be and the person I am there are very two different things, unfortunately. When I'm Because I grew up in that environment and grew up in a space, individuals there knew me as a kid. They knew me growing up. They knew me as someone giggly and fun and very, childlike. And I think it's hard to change in an environment where people knew you as your past self. It's hard to change. It's hard to change into a new person where people are constantly trying to pull you back into who they know you as. And so for me, it's the place where I'm performing as a version of myself because people are constantly trying to pull me back in that box and I'm trying to become something different, which means I have to change environments and I have to change the people around me in order to become the person I want to be. I've been saying this throughout this entire episode, but you're starting to get the point of stepping outside of your comfort zone, stepping outside of what you're used to and what's comfortable, your environment, the people that know you is the only way that you're going to be able to change to the person that you want to be. So if you feel like you're stuck, if you feel like you need to get somewhere and you're not doing it fast enough, change your environment first. Just move, go somewhere, do something different. Try your best, fight your way to get out. It is a fight to get out, not a fight to get in, but a fight to get out. Hopefully, you're going to realize that soon. Hopefully, it's not too late. Anyways, next question. 4. What are you most afraid people will think of you if they truly knew you? Mm, Afraid people would think of me if they truly knew me. I wouldn't say that I'm sensitive, and I preface that to say that I care a lot. I may not express it in the best way, but I do care a lot for the people, or for people in general. Again, I've been through a number of things that allows me to get a better perspective of individuals' lives. I may have not have the best reputation of showing empathy. I do feel it. I might not show the best version of it. However, I understand that people have hard lives. I understand the struggles that people may go through in life. And I understand how lonely and troublesome and dark things can get when you feel like there's no one around and there's nothing else to do. I understand that all. Um, and so because I understand that all, I care for individuals. I try to help. I try to do the best that I can. And in the past, again, I was never positive reinforced for caring a lot. hence why it started to dial back and I was really exposed to the real world. And so, afraid of what people think of me, not necessarily. It's more of people get comfortable and they start to take advantage of it. Hence why I have a tattoo on my back that says, "Don't ever mistake my kindness for weakness," because people started to take my kindness and my caring for weakness. So it's not that I'm afraid of it. It's that I don't necessarily trust people to do the right thing with it. And some people have a negative reaction to it. So I keep it at bay. I keep it at bay for sure. At least around people that I don't know, I don't trust immediately. So yeah. Am I respectful? Am I still kind to people? Yes. Do I go as to show my fullest extent of kindness? No. So you still have to be a person at the end of the day. You still have to, you know, be a human being. But the extent that I am kind is limited by the interactions that I have with you. All right. Five. What do you keep telling yourself you'll do someday? And what's actually stopping you? I think we already answered this. It's similar to, bad habits and things that are, I know it's a different question, but it's same answer for me. Um, yeah, bad habits. I started getting really good at stopping those this year, and it's been really good for me. Um, yeah, there's nothing I'm really doing or telling myself right now that I'm like, yeah, I'll do that someday, and I'm not actively trying to do it right now. Yeah, so that doesn't really resonate with me. Anyways, six. Who in your life do you resent, and what does that resentment tell you about your own unmet needs? Okay, let me say that again. So, who in your life do you resent, and what does that resentment tell you about your own unmet needs? For me, going to Miami, I was doing sales with a guy named Grant Cardone, and one thing he said that it was about sales, but it related to life in general. But he said that if you don't have enough clients and you're getting angry at just one client, it means you don't have an abundance of it. It means you're relying on that one person to fulfill your needs. And if you're relying on that one person to fulfill your needs, you're going to resent them. And so the only way to actually fix that is to get more, to get an abundance of clients so that if you have 1,000 clients and that's ready to do business with you, you're not going to stress about one. And so when it comes to resentment, if it's something that I already feel like I'm resenting or starting to resent, I look back and I'm like, okay, what do I not have enough of? What is so special about this that doesn't allow me to enjoy it or have happiness about it? And for me, that's been the biggest kind of mind trick that's like, okay, you're not doing enough. You go do more, go get more. Because if you get more, you're not going to stress about this one thing. And so it can be anything from like relationships to money to friends. I think a lot this year has been around this question of who and what am I resenting and why am I resenting that? And then realizing, oh shit, I don't have enough of it. Starting to resent my friends, not in the sense of they're bad friends. It's just, again, they're not people I want to be around. It's just like, okay, if I can't talk to them about things I want to talk about, why do I resent them? It's because I don't have enough friends of the people I want to be around to enjoy it. And so go get more friends. God, not that I resent people with money, but it's like I resent money sometimes. Everyone does. It's like, crap, why do I hate money? It's like I don't hate money. I enjoy money, but I don't have enough to do what I want to do. So I need to go out and get more. So yeah, I think that's my biggest thing is just being able to realize if I resent it, I don't have enough of it. And then from there, going out and getting more. All right, almost done. Let me get some water first. Because and I have this jug because I don't have my water bottle. It's typically one thing I leave in the house, so I don't have to carry my water bottle around the house or back and forth in and out the house, but it does wonders. All right. Uh, 7. What belief about yourself has shaped your decisions, and what belief about yourself has shaped your decisions the most, and where did it come from? What belief about yourself has shaped your decisions the most, and where did it come from? Oh, I can do the impossible. Yeah, I can do the impossible. Um, where did this come from? This came from I'm not sure where specifically originate from. I know how it continued. And so there is a point in time in life where people were afraid to either try things. No, I know, never mind. I know where it is. Um, Elementary school. So in elementary school, there was a tube slide. There was a tube slide. And at this time, there's a guy named Dawson, I think. It started with a D, something. But he was able to do a backflip. And I was like, cool. I want to do a backflip. And at this time, I was also watching Power Rangers. So I was really into cool flips and stuff like that. And this was also the time I was starting into, I think I was about to get into martial arts. Either I was or I was about to get into martial arts. Either way, I enjoyed martial arts and I enjoyed flipping. And so he was able to do a backflip. And there was a tube slide outside of in our playground at elementary school, and there was gravel on the ground, not gravel. There was like the foam soft things that you can land on softly. And I was like, all right, I really want to do a backflip, but I'm scared to do it on the ground. So I think getting up higher would give me a better chance of learning how to do it. And so we started learning slowly but surely how to do backflip off this tube slide. And me, I'm so gun ho about I just want to get this. Like whatever happens, happens. And it is what it is. And I'm like slowly learning how to do this backflip about this thing. And everyone's like, dude, you're gonna hurt yourself. And da 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 da. And I'm like, dude, I just want to get this backflip. Leave me alone. And eventually I got the backflip. But I have to say that when I did get it, we started doing it all the time. And then when people saw it, not only they were like, oh, you're gonna get hurt, that's so dangerous, but they were also backing away from it because it was like, I can never do that. And I was so confused. But you're so athletic. Like you can definitely do this. I just did it. I'm not even that athletic. And I'm in fourth grade. Like, why can't you do this? And I was like, because it's so scary. And at that point, I was like, huh, I could do stuff that other people can't do. And it still slowly built up as I went through middle school to high school. And it's just a matter of doing the hard things. It wasn't even the idea of it was both a balance. There's the idea of I can do hard things, but also it's like no one else is gonna do this. No one else can do this, and they won't do this because it is scary, it is hard, it's difficult, and they don't want afraid of what could happen versus what will happen. And for me, I tried to play both lanes. I tried to think of the idea of I'm going to do it anyway, no matter what could happen, but also I'm going to cover my bases to make sure to cover what could happen. You know, obviously everything has a risk, and I want to make sure to cover as much as the risk as possible. But that is, yeah, the idea of that I can do anything. When I started to learn how to really flip and really get into tricking and tumbling and martial arts, I think that's when it really clicked of I can do this. Like I can literally do hard stuff and I can do what other people aren't willing to do. And when I got into business or started looking at business, I was like, this is one more thing, probably the hardest thing that people look at and they're like, I can't do this. And I promise you, I will do this. It's probably the hardest challenge of today's modern financial war. And so it's one thing that I want to master by the end of my lifetime. So yeah. Anyways, 8. That was a long extended answer for that. I'm sorry. When do you feel the most alive? How much of your life is actually spent there? This has changed in the past couple months. Again, you resent something when you're spending too much focus on it and you don't have other options. So martial arts has been this one place for me. And so I will step out from this again come end of the year and venture out. And so martial arts has definitely been that place where I get to just release. I get to just not think and just act. And it's been the best version of me. until recently when it's mandatory. So I never wanted my interest or my hobbies to become my job or my business because I know I'm going to start to resent it. I know I'm going to have expectations of it in which if I'm there every day, it would remind me that how far I am from it. Or not even that. It would just remind me that you have to be here versus you can be here. And me being able to be there is a lot more freeing than you have to be here. And so I want to keep those things separate. And right now, or recently, it hasn't been separate. And so that's why I'm stepping away again, because I never wanted to be this way. It should not be that way. And I need an outlet in order for me to be the best version of me. And that's the way it's going to have to be. So, yeah. All right. 9. We're almost there. What are you tolerating that you've convinced yourself is fine? Again, change this now. My confidence. So I've tolerated the idea that I've tolerated the delusion that I am confident in all areas of my life. I am wrong. Confidence comes from confidence comes from competence. Competence comes from proof. Your ability to show skill. And so with that, I have built a large confidence around martial arts. I have succeeded, I have accomplished, I have done things in martial arts and that environment in which I was able to grow. I was able to build my confidence within that domain. However, there are skills, side note, there are skills from martial arts you can take to your day-to-day life and it applies. Yes. Now, with that being said, the confidence that you feel within an environment can't necessarily transfer to the confidence you feel in another environment. Reason why is because the skills you learn in this environment may not necessarily transfer to the skills in another environment. For example, my confidence when it comes to martial arts and my confidence when it comes to scaling a business from 0 to 100 million. Let's be honest here. I've never done it. So I can't necessarily have the confidence to do it. And if I do have the confidence, it's delusion. Some delusion is good. Some delusion is just delusion, insanity. So in order to get confidence, you need to be competent, which means you need to build the skills necessary in order for you to feel competent. Like you know what you're doing. Like you have the background to the activity or thing that you're trying to build. Without it, you're just talking nonsense. Yeah. So that's what I've been tolerating for myself. And so coming to that realization of you can be fake confident all you want to, but until you get proof of work or proof of concept, you're just talking shit. You're just literally just talking shit. So, I hate to be a hypocrite. So I'm being able to get down in the dirt and actually do it. It's what's necessary. So last one. What did you need most as a child that you didn't get? Mm. Hmm. A role model. I think my mom did a great job doing what she did with what she had. But in terms of how to be a man and how to navigate through the harsh world and understanding it, there was no one really ever to show me that. There's never really someone to express that and show me how to actually do it in a proper, positive, and influential way. And so I would say that was probably the biggest thing I needed that I didn't get. And I don't think I'm getting it in, not even now, but most people don't get it. It's fine. It. I'm not saying, well, it's me. I'm just saying it's just what it was. However, even though you don't get it as a child, doesn't mean you can't go find it as an adult. I think I just talked about this on my last episode of, you know, people have the victim mentality and it's always someone's fault nowadays, and they don't take responsibility. They don't take control of their situation. And yes, bad things happen to good people. Bad things happen to everyone. But what can you do? If you're blaming and putting the responsibility and control on someone else, you have no control. You can't change the thing. I don't think that's what some people probably think and what they want, but it's not. You want to change. You want to be better. You want to be in a better position. And so if you're like me, if you're like that, you're going to go find what you're missing. And for me, it was a mentor. It was a role model. It was someone to look up to change your projection of life and change your mindset and thought processes about everything around you. And so, yeah, as a child, I think a role model was something that I didn't get the best examples of, if at all. But now, as an adult, it's my responsibility to go find that. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So, yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, I love that. That was awesome. That was a actual whole episode by myself. But I love these 20 questions. They were amazing. I do enjoy thought provoking questions. I do enjoy thought provoking conversations. And this helps. This definitely not helps me understand me because I already know me, but it does me helps me, get into the idea of, what can I share with other people? What can I allow people to see about myself that I don't necessarily show on a day-to-day basis? And so hopefully this allows you to see a better version of me. I don't know if it's better, deeper version, maybe deeper version of me. And yeah, hopefully it allows us to connect a little bit more in a little stronger environment. And I don't have any guests on today, so it's me. It's me talking to me. Me talking to you guys. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you enjoy the next one as well. I will sign off from here, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for watching this, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.